Okay, so let's get into it. When you think about plateau, you may be thinking to yourself, what does it mean to plateau? Now, in my mind, when I say plateau, I think about going up, like if you're going up a mountain, right? And then it levels off and things are straight, you're going level, and there's no increase, there's no decrease. And that's why a plateau is sometimes hard to actually determine because you're like, things are steady. I have clients coming in consistently, I have staff, and I am growing and the firm is growing. But when you think about it, the systems that are built around your firm, the systems that are in your firm has helped you to get to that space, they have not been reassessed. So as you continue to grow, you feel burned out as the firm owner. You feel stretched thin as the firm owner. You may have even had the thought of, you know what, it might be better for me to just go back to me doing everything and scaling back and not having staff. Because having staff, let's be real, having staff is like having kids sometimes because you're having to manage emotions and tasks and help them be the best that they can be. And it can be a lot, especially if you are now managing staff. Let's say you're managing a staff of 5. And of course, when you started, maybe it was just you and maybe one other. So the systems that you created at the point of you and one other is now trying to carry the load of a staff of 5. And there's no wonder that you feel burned out. There's no wonder that you want to go flip burgers instead of practicing law. And it's really because you have plateaued as a firm owner. That means that you need to look back at your systems. And there are 3 areas that you can think about and that we're going to look into for you to assess where have things plateaued for my firm and where have things plateaued for me? Why are people still depending so much upon me to make decisions for the firm and to carry the firm forward? Yes, I'm giving vision, but why is it coming back to me? Why are things and tasks and to-dos still very heavily reliant on me and my brain? One of the things you might want to consider is the types of cases that you were taking when you started versus the types of cases that you have now. Let's say that you were taking uncontested divorces when you started, and that means that there's no discovery that's happening. There's not a lot of court time that's included. There's no property review that you're having to do. So a financial information statement is probably not necessary. Mediation probably not necessary because you were dealing with a certain type of case. As you grow, you say, okay, I want to start to take more cases. I want to start to take different cases. Let's say you take a property dispute on a family case. If you've never done a property dispute on a family case, specifically in Texas, because I don't know about where you guys are, but specifically in Texas, sis, honey, bruh, cousin, that is a whole beast, right? In and of itself. That is an area that requires a lot of involvement. If you have never taken a property case in a divorce matter in Texas, then let me tell you, that is a beast in and of itself. That is one of those areas that is heavily involved. That means you're going to do some discovery. You may have to get a title company involved. You may have to get a forensic accountant involved. You are going to probably need to go to mediation, prepare for hearings and trials. So it's way more that is required of you. But if your system that is supporting now this contested property matter was built on an uncontested divorce, then that system is going to fall. You can even end up feeling like you're not enough or that you're not capable or that you don't know what you're doing. And that's not it at all. It is the system that you are standing on that you had when you first started, even just a few years ago. But because your firm looks different, you now need to reassess that. Are the cases a bit more complex, and have the complexity of the cases outrun the systems that you have in place? Is that the case? And you just really need to think about it that you're not burned out, but you're stretched thin because of your systems. And I'm going to say it again. You're not burned out necessarily, but you could be stretched thin because of your systems, because of the structure that you have or don't have around you. A lot of times when people start firms, and maybe this was you, and no shade, but maybe you started your firm and you didn't even have a system in place. You didn't even have checklists and procedures or anything like that because you were just excited to get started. I was there. That was me. I'm like, oh, it's me. Great. I'm going to name my files the way that it makes sense for me because this is my brain. I'm not thinking about 10, 15 years down the road when I don't even want to look at a file again. I am thinking about right now what this looks like for me. And if that's the case, that doesn't mean that it's over. That just means you need to take a step back and assess, what types of cases am I taking now? What types of cases was I taking before? Is it a completely different area of law requiring a different structure for everything? Or do I just need to add on to what I have? Do I need to reorganize the structure that I have currently to make sure that as we continue to grow, as we continue to evolve as a firm, as I continue to evolve as the CEO and move more into my CEO position, then I can assess my system and make sure that it is growing with me. Now, number two. So the first thing is the complexity of the cases may have outrun the systems that you had in place or the structure that you had in place. Then the second one is going to be your authority. Have you assessed, or when is the last time you assessed what your authority looks like? And we've talked about that on some prior episodes, so I'll make sure to have a link in the description box for that. But when you think about your authority as the CEO, as the firm owner, you maintain authority. You are the one that's setting vision for the firm. You are the one that is going to set the culture of the firm. All of that authority lands with you. When you are a solo firm owner, you have 100% of authority, 100% of execution. But as you add people onto the team, you are now supposed to decide what authority can be delegated to be executed, right? You maintain the authority, but I can delegate the execution of this task to someone else. And I've said it before, for me, it was the post office. It was mailing off documents. That was one thing that I absolutely hated. And that was one of the first things I gave to an admin as soon as I hired one, is I don't want to purchase stamps. I don't want to fill out a certified mail read receipt. I don't want to lick an envelope. I don't want to mail anything. I don't want to wait for postage. I don't want to do any of that. So that was one of the first things that I was able to delegate. Now the authority still with me, making sure that things are mailed off in the way that I want them to, or in the way that we are set as a firm. Do we use FedEx or UPS or USPS? And is it first class? What does that look like? That is the system that is put in place, but I delegated that execution of that task. Now, if you think about for yourself and your authority that you have in your firm, the current firm that you have, or the firm that you see that this is a season where this is what my firm is going to look like, because you have to think about too, you're always coming out of a season and going into one. So assess for yourself as a CEO, what season am I coming out of and going into? What season is this right here? Where is the gap that I'm in right now? And then of course for the firm, what season is the firm coming out of and going into? For me, I changed areas of law at the beginning of last year, end of last year. And so for me, it was a season of transition in areas of law, which means that systems had to transition. Staff had to transition, because if I was no longer practicing that area, they either had to learn a new area or come over to the other side of the firm and start to manage there or start to work there. But a lot of reorganization had to happen. And then for me, I had to be honest that, okay, I need to now train staff a bit more on this particular area of law. So where I wanted to maybe have a 2 or 3 day work week, I now need to devote a bit more time to ensure that we have procedures, that we have things written down, that we have whatever training manuals that are needed, and that I am present and I'm making sure that the systems are in place, or that I'm making sure that the people that can provide, that run these systems are in place to make sure that I can still step back as CEO. But for you, you have to assess, what does my authority look like in my current firm? And have I assessed my actual authority in my firm? Do I need to reorganize? Do I need to increase, decrease, change, move it left, move it right, whatever it is? You have to take a moment for yourself and you have to think about what that authority looks like. Otherwise, you're going to continue to be burned out. You're going to continue to feel like you don't want to be in the practice of law anymore. And like I said, and I hear it from other attorneys all the time, and I've even said it to myself, like, man, this is too much. Like, it's great. I'm so happy to be growing, but I'm tired. I am tired. And that tired is an indication that you need to assess your system. That is what I want you to take from that. That is not that you are incapable. It's not that you are not enough. It's an indication that you need to reassess your systems. You need to reassess your authority. Now, one of the things when we just talk about plateau number 3 is the finances, of course. If your firm is growing and you are seeing more clients, you are bringing in the income, you have the beautiful office, and people are commenting all the time, like, oh my goodness, this is so nice. They feel like you're a real attorney now because you have a brick and mortar. You have staff and you're paying your staff and you're paying them well. And if you're anything like me, that payroll increased and you looked up like, wait, wait a minute. When did we get to $14,000, $15,000 twice a month for payroll? And I'm just gonna keep it 100 with you. Like, how did we get here? You have to take a step back and look at the system. What is the system that is built around that payroll? What is the system that is built around the finances? Are you putting in more in marketing? Are you putting in more in your staff and hiring more staff or more experienced staff, but you have not taken a step back to ensure that the systems that are in place, even your filing system, right? The way that you name your files, the procedures for filing, especially when you start to grow, if everyone does not understand how to name and how to file things properly, then it will be sheer chaos. And that's just one example. But for sure, when you are growing and you have the finances and you still think, oh my goodness, I'm still making decisions. When you're thinking about your financial growth and you say, okay, when I was making $150,000, I was making all the decisions. When I was making $300,000, I was making all the decisions. Now that I'm making 8, 9, $1.2 million, I am still making all the decisions. And you wonder why you're tired? You wonder why you're burned out? You wonder why you're rolling your eyes at your staff when you come in because they're depending on your brain instead of depending on their own? It's because you have not delegated properly. It's because you are still being the one to answer all of the questions. You have to challenge your staff sometimes. They come to you and they bring a task. What would you do? What is the system that we have in place for that? And if we don't have a system in place for that just yet, give me a moment. Let me shoot a quick Loom video to show you how to do this because I don't want this coming back to me. When you're starting to see the same thing or starting to have the same questions that are coming to you, then put it into a system, put it into a video, put it into an SOP, put it into a template, whatever it is. We've talked about that before. If X, then Y, so that you don't even have to come to me. You don't have to engage my brain because it's not necessary for you to figure this thing out. That is a system thing. That's not a people thing, not necessarily. Let me take a step back. That's not necessarily a people thing, but you have to at least give them the system. You have to at least give them the structure to support where your firm is now. And that's from a financial standpoint. That's from an authority standpoint. And that's from a case standpoint with that when it comes to the case structure, depending on the types of cases that you had before and the types of cases that you are taking on now. Okay, so here's the cheat code moment. When we're thinking about the plateau and you're like, I need to identify in my firm, but I really don't understand. I really don't know how to identify where I, as a CEO, have plateaued or where my firm is plateaued. One thing you want to do is just think about, get you a pen and paper or get your notebook or your computer, or whatever. You want to think about and actually write down what grew in the past 12 months. When you're thinking about your firm, what area grew in the past 12 months? And then next is what system did not grow to support that area. And that's going to take a real come to Jesus for yourself. What system do I currently have in place that did not grow with the thing from number 1 that actually grew? It was outpaced. What system was outpaced by that thing in number 1? Because that thing in number 1 is good, right? It could be the revenue. It could be the marketing. It could be the staff. And you're like, these are great things, but what is the system that is supporting the revenue, the staff, the income? What is the system that is supporting that? And did it grow in the same pace, which likely not, but now you can assess that and now you can make a change because you can identify, that's the first thing, is identify what system did not grow, what system was outpaced by that thing in number 1. And then, of course, for you as CEO, number 3 is, what authority am I holding on to that I really need to let go, that I really need to delegate, that I really need to give to somebody else to own? Because it does not take the CEO, and neither does it take my bar card. It is not required for this particular task. So what are you holding on to? And sometimes, let's be real, sometimes for us as CEOs, sometimes for us, especially if you are a type A and you want things done a particular way, you have held on to things longer than you need to. You have to think about what is good. And it's hard for me to even say, but you do. You cannot expect perfection from anyone, especially yourself, but especially your staff. You cannot expect for them to do things exactly how you did them. The end result should look good. It should be in the way that the firm requires, but it's not going to be perfect. The people that you're working with and the people that are working for you they're not going to be perfect. So you have to think about for yourself, what authority can I let go to know that, yeah, they may not do it in the way that I would have, but the end result is still going to be the same. They're still going to skin that cat. It's still going to look the same at the end. And you can still make tweaks. You can still put your hand in and make sure that they're being trained to make it better, but do not expect perfection. Expect for it to be good. Expect for you to be able to hand something off, to delegate, not just offload. We're not just throwing it on them or dumping on them and say, hey, figure this out. But we are delegating with some clear directions on what does good look like in this? What does it look like to win in this particular task? In this particular role? What does it look like for you as my staff person who I want to be successful to win, to be good? And sometimes that requires us as CEOs to let go of authority. To let go of the execution, to maintain that authority, but let go of the execution of that particular task. Now, of course, you have homework. After you have gone through and you've assessed what has changed or what grew in the past 12 months, what system did not, what execution do I need to, what authority do I need to delegate? What execution do I need to ensure is taking place? And what does good look like for my team to win in this position? Now it is time for you to decide just one implementation for the next 30 days. You're going to focus on what area can I realign and reassess in the next 30 days. What is going to move your firm forward? What is going to move you forward as the CEO? If you focus on this one thing in the next 30 days, write it down. There is some science behind it, some numbers that say that you are more likely to actually accomplish your goal if you write it down. So get a piece of paper, even your notebook on your phone or your computer, and just put it in there and say, this is where the firm is plateaued. And be honest with yourself. This is where my firm has plateaued. Fill in that blank. And then this is what I'm going to focus on in the next 30 days to recalibrate, to ensure that the system, the structure is there to support what has grown and where I feel like I've plateaued, to ensure that you are not burned out, that you are enjoying being a firm owner, that you're enjoying practicing law. We went through way too much school to get to this point, to be like, you know what? This is too much. I'm just going to go to DSW and sell shoes. I'm just going to go to Primerica and be an insurance agent. That's not what we're doing. That is not what we're doing. We're not giving up. You are capable. You are called. You are appointed. You are anointed. For such a time as this, there is an entire community of people waiting for you to believe in yourself. So surround yourself with some good support CEOs, a good support base, other friends, other firm owners that can understand your plight, because it's helpful. It's helpful to have people in the trenches with you that understand, like, yeah, I get it. And you're not crazy. Like, yeah, you're having a tough day, but you're going to be okay tomorrow. Like I said, text me. I'll text you some encouragement and I'll remind you of who you are, that you did not get this far for you to drop off. God did not bring you this far to leave you stranded and in dismay and feeling like you are not good enough and that you're not capable. That is not where we are. We are going to be smart about it. We're going to do everything in wisdom and with intentionality. And we're going to assess, okay, I have some growth. I'm going to celebrate that growth. And I'm going to be smart about it. And I'm going to make sure that I have the structure and the system to support that growth, so that as my firm grows, then I am growing as a CEO and I am helping to bring other people under me to practice law, or to be support staff for those that practice law, to be administrators for those that practice law. And I am giving, space for people to grow, and I'm training. And as I am elevating, I am bringing people with me, and they're elevating as well. And that is how you're going to build a legacy worth talking about, a legacy that people will talk about for years to come. When you're long gone, your family's going to talk about the foundation that you created now. If you're anything like me, you're a first generation business owner, not even just firm, but a first generation business owner. And you're having to figure a lot of things out. And that's why the Attorney Cheat Code is here, because some things you shouldn't have to figure out on your own. So if I know it, I'm sharing it with you. I'm not saying I know everything, but I'm gonna go learn it. And a lot of things I've gone through in my 14 years of practice that I'm going to share with you that I wish somebody would have told me a long time ago, but I'm going to share it with you in hopes that you'll be able to fast track your way to profitable firm ownership, to have the firm and the life of your dreams. Woo, child. That is all that we have today. I'm so glad that you stuck with me to the end, and I would love to hear from you. What in your firm do you feel has plateaued, and what are you going to do about it in the next 30 days? And what help could you use? Is there a tool or a resource you feel like you wish that you had to help you in the next 30 days? Let me know. Send me a direct message. You can email me, text me 713-834-7111. You can literally text me and we can talk about it, because I want you to be successful. There's more than enough out here for all of us. We don't have to be crabs in a barrel. We can support each other, we can grow, and we can enjoy practicing law. Until the next episode, I am Alicia Jones, and this is the Attorney CheatCode Podcast.